Hey, Daryl Bock, Michael Pigon here. I think it's Tuesday. Good day to you, by the way. Tuesday at 2 o'clock p.m. So I made myself sick doing this work, and I want to tell you that it is super easy to show someone to address your email the area where I become super sick, and this has happened to me before. The area is these great crowds that follow Jesus. And so just so you know, here's a great multitude that follows Jesus, and here's a great multitude, and here's a great multitude. And there's even more, and I've created the document for that. So let me go straight to your email, okay? And so the first section of 3 sections had to do with Peter's mother-in-law being healed, and many healed after Sabbath sunset. Now, when you first said, oh, the reason we know that that's out of order, that someone's moved it, is because of the sermons. and so, obviously in Bibles, unless it's a harmony of the Gospels, people are not taking these 4 verses and literally moving them, jumping over the sermon, transposing, right? So there's no transposing that people are actually doing, So to put this one way, you believe the right thing, but you believe it for the wrong reason. And so I'm going to show you, what I mean. So it's very easy to think, that there's a great multitude, a sermon on the mount, and then a centurion in Matthew. And then over here, you have a great crowd, a sermon, and then a centurion. Great crowd, sermon, centurion. Matthew. Great crowd, sermon, centurion. Luke. See what I mean? I have to deal with the great crowds. And it's very easy, but it makes me sick, actually. Okay. So what you don't see, and I'm gonna show you, is that just like Peter's mother-in-law needs to go here, you've got Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus is questioned about fasting. That one's ready to come up, right behind it. So once you make room, and we put this, whether we do it conceptually, or whether we do it on a spreadsheet, or whether we do it in a harmony of the Gospels, once we do this, you got another block that's coming up right here. Because here's Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic. Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic. Matthew the tax collector. Matthew the tax collector. Jesus is questioned about fasting. Jesus is questioned about fasting. And here's the exact same thing. And it's getting ready, so to speak, to barrel in here. Okay? And now you don't have this. Now you don't have the sermon alignment anymore, right? In fact, you don't have the sermon alignment anyway, because Matthew has his sermon before Jesus cleanses a leper. Luke has his sermon after Jesus cleanses a leper. And if you're familiar with my work, I keep getting the idea that that you're not. All of this yellow that's here, all of this congruity, and then it goes down here, like this. All of this congruity. There's only these 4 blocks of Matthew that need to be moved to align with the harmonious chronology of both Mark and Luke. See? So these three more sections are ready to barrel in here, and they only barrel in the best possible way, meaning they actually align with the material. Okay, so intellectually we move Peter's mother-in-law is healed and many healed after Sabbath sunset over here after 4 fishermen are called as disciples. We do that, correctly, but you've done it for the wrong reason. So that's where now we go to the second of the 3 paragraphs, right? Regarding the 2-witness principle. Now you see what I've shared here regarding that Mark and Luke are in alignment, that Matthew is out of order in 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 blocks of text. 1 goes here, 2 goes there, 3 goes there, 4 goes there. So that's what I mean, is in and of itself, apart from whatever gospels we call them, this happens to be Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but blind to which ones they actually are, just organizing data in sheets as an objective view, by the authority of 2 witnesses, establish all matters, Moses, Jesus, and Paul. So that's why I'm saying, let's establish the matter of a timeline. Let's establish the matter of chronology. And you realize in an instant that there's people, they're never going to want to create a timeline. They don't want to create a chronology. Now the problem is biblically they already are aligned. So that's where I'm concerned that people are being mean, people are in denial, people have their own agendas, So, but you addressed that very kindly. I mean, you took a new tone, a very nice tone in your letter. And that's why I'm making it a point to go ahead and make this video while I'm sick, because I had to do a lot of work to be able to prove what I already knew, and that is these crowds. These are enormous crowds that are following Jesus. I know who they are now because I've done the work, and in years past I waited to do the work because I knew it was going to be a big job. But it all aligns. Okay, so you'll see that work, even though, you probably are going to look at it and go, what the heck is this? So, and then finally, I'll do a review in case I missed something, And then finally, you were kind to address, liberal scholarship or oral tradition. And, yeah, thank you. I hope, I believe you. I don't know you, but I believe you. I like how you put that. So let me try to put this one more way. I said I was going to summarize, but I'm going to show you very powerfully how this second block of text is going to come up here now. We moved Peter's mother-in-law, and now this block comes up here to match where it is. All right. Do you remember wind and wave obey Jesus in the country of the Gadarenes, and a demon-possessed man is healed? Now I know that you do because you've written about that, and you see Matthew has that too. And this right here is Matthew 9:1, and Jesus gets in a boat. See, he's getting in a boat to leave the country of the Gergesenes. Okay, 9:1. That's key. That is a mind blower. Your conscience should now be able to move. Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, because Jesus never gets in a boat to go, forgive and heal the paralytic. He's just up here in Capernaum, walking around when he forgives and heals a paralytic, Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus' question about fasting. Okay. So here's wind and wave obey Jesus, country of the Gadarenes, a demon-possessed man healed, and Jesus, gets in the boat and returns. So we don't need a Sermon on the Mount example to give us permission to move Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus questioned about fasting, to have that jump over wind and wave obey Jesus and put it up here where it belongs. Because, oh my gosh, it's so obvious, you know? Jesus is done with the demons, you know, and the pigs, and he gets in a boat. And he doesn't go to forgive and heal the paralytic and Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus is questioned about fasting. That's the second of 2 blocks. Now, if someone says to me, Michael, you know, by what authority are you moving Scripture? You come over here with your second chart. You've got your orange over here. You've got your Peter's mother-in-law is healed that you've moved, and many healed after Sabbath sunset. Well, I say, well, you know, Mark and Luke established the matter of a timeline. We have 2 witnesses. So I have permission from Jesus, Moses, and Paul to read this Matthean block according to the timeline of Mark and Luke. And if someone's nice, and they say, are there any more of those? I go, well, here's one. Here's Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus is questioned about fasting. It has no business being here after wind and wave obey Jesus, country of the Gergesenes, 2 demon-possessed men are healed, and then Jesus gets in a boat. And if the person says, "What, man, are there going to be like a whole bunch of those?" I'm going to be like, no, there's 4. There's only 4. Here's another one. It's right here. And then it goes right after that. It follows. See, it follows. Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus is questioned about fasting. This 3rd block is Jesus, Lord of the Sabbath, and healing on the Sabbath. It just follows it. You just take both of those and bring them right up here. Now, here's I sent you another video, a practice video. I don't think you probably looked at it because I labeled it as a practice video. Okay, but here's wind and wave obey Jesus, a demon-possessed man healed, you know, and Jesus gets in a boat. Now, one thing that this poster offers, you know, is this in an instant you see what's going on, right? So Jesus gets in the boat and goes and heals the demon-possessed man, and then gets in the boat and leaves. Pretty soon he comes back. He's in a deserted place, and then he feeds the 5,000. He got there in a boat, right? And then he leaves in the boat. You know, eventually, you know, after he walks out to it on the water. But Jesus gets in the boat, and then there's a 3rd one. Jesus gets in the boat in the region of Magdala. The Pharisees and Sadducees seek a sign in the region of Dalmanutha. The Pharisees seek a sign. Jesus gets in the boat. See? Do you see the power of the of the chronology? And now I think you've seen 2, and there's only 2 to go. You've seen the 2 definitively of the blocks that need to be moved, and the 3rd one's right here. So I got to get you to talk to me about Jesus forgives and heals a paralytic, and Matthew the tax collector, and Jesus is questioned about fasting, because that follows 9:1. So you and I are potential friends, you know. You know, when I opened up Jesus according to the scriptures, you had lumped, you know, 9:1 with those pericopes. And I thought, oh man, 9:1, Jesus gets in the boat, and he doesn't go and heal and forgive and heal the paralytic and Matthew the tax collector. And so, you know, someone like me with a passion, you know, for this, you know, is like a master's thesis and a life work. And of course, I'd like to see you and I publish my Harmony of the Gospel Solved. I mean, that's a huge one, because this is out of place, as obvious as Peter's mother-in-law is out of place. And that's just 2 out of 4. I'm sick, but I knew I would present this to you with a lot of energy. I knew that I would do it, you know, fresh on my mind, okay? I love you, and I hope to hear from you, okay? 626-327 2516.